The obsidian throne room of the Krill Imperium pulsed with a nervous energy, a silent hum that vibrated through the chitinous exoskeletons of the ruling council. The holographic projections flickering around the chamber cast elongated, distorted shadows, mimicking the unease that gripped the Krill leadership. For cycles, the galactic war had raged, a brutal conflict between the technologically advanced, expansionist Zargonian collective and the ancient, defensively minded Eldoria conquered. The Imperium, strategically positioned between the two behemoths, had maintained a precarious neutrality, a stance born of pragmatism rather than cowardice. But now, that neutrality was threatened, shattered by an unforeseen and unwelcome intrusion. Grand Strategos Xyler, his mandibles clicking with barely suppressed agitation, addressed the council. His voice, amplified by the chamber's resonating system, carried the weight of generations of military experience. The anomaly remains. It originated in the Sol system, a system designated as uninhabited in all galactic surveys prior to the arrival of the humans. A wave of restless murmuring swept through the council. The humans, a species barely on the galactic radar a mere decade ago, dismissed as a pre-warp civilization clinging to a single unremarkable planet. Now they were the subject of intense speculation, fear, and perhaps most disturbingly, a growing sense of the unknown. Their sudden technological leap, their baffling lack of participation in the galactic conflict, and now this anomaly. It defied all known scientific principles, a localized distortion of spacetime that emitted a unique energy signature, unlike anything the Krill had ever encountered. Uninhabited is no longer a valid descriptor, Strategos, High Chancellor Lyra, her multifaceted eyes gleaming with concern, interjected. The humans have demonstrated capabilities far exceeding our initial assessments. Their ingenuity is undeniable, and now this anomaly, is it a weapon, a defense mechanism, or something else? Xyler paused, his gaze sweeping across the faces of the council. We do not know, Chancellor. That is the crux of the matter. Our probes have been unable to penetrate the anomaly. Any attempt to do so results in complete disintegration. The Zargonians and the Eldoria have both attempted reconnaissance as well. The results were identical, utter annihilation. The silence that followed was heavy, broken only by the quiet whirring of the chamber's life support systems. The implications were terrifying. If the humans possessed a technology capable of obliterating advanced probes from the Zargonian collective and the Eldoria conquered, then their potential for disruption was immense. The galactic war could be irrevocably altered. Or worse, the Imperium could be caught in the crossfire. What is the status of our diplomatic overtures? Lyra asked, her voice regaining its composure. Have the humans responded to our requests for clarification? Xyler's mandibles tightened. They have acknowledged our communications, Chancellor, but their responses are cryptic, vague. They offer no explanation for the anomaly. They simply state that it is a matter of national security and request that we maintain a respectful distance. A murmur of discontent rippled through the council. National security? For a species that had only recently achieved interstellar travel, it was an absurd notion, and yet the Krill could not dismiss the humans' claims outright. The anomaly was real, its destructive potential undeniable. The Eldoria, renowned for their wisdom and foresight, had warned the Krill about the potential dangers of underestimating new species. They spoke of the unpredictable nature of emergent civilizations, the potential for rapid technological advancement, and the unforeseen consequences of interference. But the Krill, steeped in their own rigid traditions and hierarchical structures, had largely dismissed these warnings as the ramblings of an overly cautious and isolationist species. Now they were beginning to question their own arrogance. From the depths of the chamber, a voice, ancient and resonant, broke the tense silence. It was the voice of the Oracle, a revered figure within Krill society, capable of perceiving the intricate threads of fate that wove through the galaxy. The humans are not what they seem, the Oracle intoned, her eyes, milky white and devoid of pupils, fixed on some distant, unseen point. They carry a burden, a knowledge that weighs heavy upon their souls. They are the inheritors of a legacy both magnificent and terrible. The Oracle's words sent a chill through the chamber. Her pronouncements were rarely straightforward, often shrouded in metaphor and allegory. But they were always significant, always pointing towards a deeper truth. What legacy, Oracle? Lyra asked, her voice hushed with reverence. What burden do the humans carry? The Oracle remained silent for a long moment, her body trembling slightly. Then she spoke again, her voice barely a whisper. "The legacy of the Watchers, the burden of the Guardians, they stand between us and the void." The council members exchanged uneasy glances. The Watchers and the Guardians were figures from ancient Krill mythology, beings of immense power who were said to have protected the galaxy from a primordial darkness. But the stories of the Watchers and the Guardians were considered mere legends, cautionary tales told to children. To hear the Oracle invoke their names in connection with the humans was unsettling. "Are you suggesting, Oracle," Xyler began, his voice carefully measured, "that the humans possess some form of defensive capability that transcends our understanding, that they are protecting us from some unknown threat?" The Oracle did not answer. She simply closed her eyes and fell silent, her cryptic pronouncements hanging heavy in the air. The Krill Council remained in stunned silence, grappling with the implications of her words. The humans, a species they had dismissed as insignificant, might be the key to the galaxy's survival, or its doom. On the bridge of the Krill cruiser Silent Vigil, Commander Ryla stared at the sensor readings with growing apprehension. The ship was positioned on the edge of the Sol system, tasked with monitoring the human anomaly. For cycles, nothing had changed. The anomaly remained a silent, impenetrable barrier, its energy signature a constant, unnerving hum. But then something shifted. A ripple in spacetime, a subtle distortion of the energy field, and then a signal. A clear, unambiguous signal emanating from the anomaly. "Report," Ryla barked, her mandibles clicking with urgency. "Commander," the comms officer responded, his voice trembling slightly. "We are receiving a transmission. It is human in origin. They are requesting permission to approach." Ryla hesitated. Allowing a human vessel to approach the Silent Vigil was a risky proposition, but refusing their request could be even more dangerous. The Krill needed answers, and the humans were the only ones who could provide them. "Grant them permission," Ryla ordered, her voice firm, "but maintain a defensive posture, weapons at full readiness." A moment later, a small, sleek vessel emerged from the anomaly. It was unlike anything Ryla had ever seen. Its design was elegant, almost organic, with smooth curves and glowing panels. There were no visible weapons, no obvious signs of aggression. And yet Ryla felt a primal unease, a sense of hidden power that radiated from the vessel like a tangible force. The human vessel approached the Silent Vigil slowly, deliberately. It maintained a respectful distance, hovering just beyond the cruiser's defensive perimeter. Then, a voice crackled over the comms system. It was calm, measured, and surprisingly devoid of emotion. "Greetings, Krill vessel," the voice said. "This is Ambassador Evelyn Reed, representing the Terran Confederacy. We have received your request for clarification regarding the anomaly in the Sol system. I am here to provide you with the answers you seek." Ambassador Reed's words hung in the air, a promise and a threat. The Krill had their answers, but were they prepared for the truth? On Earth, in the heart of the Terran Confederacy's hidden command center, Evelyn Reed watched the holographic projection of the Krill cruiser, Silent Vigil, with a detached sense of curiosity. The Krill were a cautious, pragmatic species, driven by logic and tradition. But they were also deeply flawed, blinded by their own arrogance and their inability to comprehend the true nature of the universe. "They are wary, Ambassador," a voice said from behind her. "But they are also desperate. They know they are outmatched." Evelyn turned to face General Marcus Thorne, the head of Terran Defense Command. He was a gruff, battle-hardened veteran, a man who had seen the worst that humanity had to offer. But he was also fiercely loyal to the Confederacy and deeply committed to protecting Earth from any threat, no matter how distant or obscure. "They underestimate us, General," Evelyn replied, her voice calm and unwavering. "As do the Zargonians and the Eldoria. They see us as a primitive species clinging to a single planet. They fail to grasp the true extent of our capabilities, the depth of our knowledge." "The anomaly is holding, but for how much longer?" Thorne asked, his brow furrowed with concern. "The energy drain is immense. We can't maintain it indefinitely." "We will maintain it as long as necessary," Evelyn said, her voice firm. "The integrity of the Sol system is paramount. We cannot allow the galactic war to spill over into our territory." The anomaly, a localized distortion of spacetime created by the Terran Confederacy's most advanced technology, was Earth's first and only line of defense against the horrors of the galaxy. It was a secret that had been carefully guarded for centuries, a shield that protected humanity from the prying eyes of alien civilizations. But the arrival of the Zargonians and the Eldoria, and the subsequent escalation of the Galactic War had forced the Confederacy's hand. The anomaly had been activated, its existence revealed to the wider galaxy. "The Krill will ask about the Watchers," Thorne said, his voice laced with apprehension. "The Oracle's pronouncements have reached their leadership. They will want to know what we know." Evelyn nodded. "I am prepared to answer their questions, General, but I will only reveal what is necessary. The truth is too dangerous for them to comprehend." The Watchers, an ancient, enigmatic species that had vanished from the galaxy eons ago, leaving behind only whispers and legends. They were the creators of the anomaly technology, the guardians of a secret that could either save the galaxy or destroy it. And the Terran Confederacy, through a series of extraordinary events, had become their inheritors. "Are you certain this is the right course of action, Ambassador?" Thorne asked, his voice tinged with doubt. "Revealing our existence to the galaxy carries immense risks. We could become targets caught between the Zargonians and the Eldoria. Or worse, we could attract the attention of something far more dangerous." Evelyn paused, her gaze fixed on the holographic projection of the Krill cruiser. "We have no choice, General. The galaxy is on the brink of destruction. The balance of power is shifting. If we remain hidden, we risk being caught unawares. We must take a proactive stance. We must reveal ourselves to the galaxy and offer our help. But we must do so on our own terms, with caution and with foresight." "And what if the galaxy rejects us?" Thorne asked. "What if they see us as a threat, a danger to their own power structures?" Evelyn smiled, a rare and fleeting expression that belied the immense weight she carried on her shoulders. "Then we will show them the true meaning of power, General. We will show them the strength of humanity. We will show them that Earth is not to be trifled with." On the bridge of the silent vigil, Ryla listened to Ambassador Reed's words with a mixture of awe and apprehension. The human's calm demeanor, her unwavering confidence, it was unnerving. She spoke of the anomaly as if it were a mere technological construct, a tool to be wielded at will. But Ryla sensed something more, a hidden depth, a power that resonated far beyond the confines of the Sol system. "Ambassador Reed," Ryla began, her voice carefully measured. "The Krill Imperium appreciates your willingness to cooperate. However, we require further clarification regarding the anomaly. What is its purpose? What threat does it protect us from?" Evelyn paused, her gaze seemingly penetrating the thick armor of the silent vigil and reaching directly into Ryla's mind. "The anomaly serves two purposes, Commander. First, it protects the Sol system from external threats. Second, it masks our presence from those who would seek to exploit us." "Exploit you?" Ryla asked, her mandibles clicking with skepticism. "What possible value could the Krill Imperium find in exploiting a pre-warp civilization?" Evelyn's smile returned, fleeting and enigmatic. "The Krill Imperium is not the only power in the galaxy, Commander. There are others who would covet our technology, our knowledge. There are those who would seek to enslave our people." Ryla bristled at the implication. The Krill were not slavers. They were conquerors, yes, but they believed in order, in hierarchy. Slavery was a barbaric practice beneath their dignity. "The Krill Imperium does not condone slavery," Ryla stated, her voice firm. "We believe in the natural order of things. The strong rule the weak, but we do not enslave them." "Then you are more honorable than I initially believed, Commander," Evelyn replied, her tone softening slightly. "But honor is a rare commodity in the galaxy. There are those who would gladly sacrifice entire civilizations for their own gain." Ryla considered the human's words. She knew that Evelyn was speaking the truth. The Galactic War was a brutal conflict, fueled by greed and ambition. The Zargonians and the Eldoria were both ruthless in their pursuit of power. "What is the meaning of the Oracle's pronouncements?" Ryla asked, her voice barely a whisper. "The Watchers, the Guardians, what do they have to do with the humans?" Evelyn paused, her expression becoming somber. "The Watchers were an ancient species, Commander. They possessed a technology that was far beyond our comprehension. They were the guardians of a secret that could either save the galaxy or destroy it. They entrusted that secret to us, to the Terran Confederacy. We are now the Watchers, the guardians of the secret." Ryla was stunned. The humans, the inheritors of an ancient and powerful legacy, it was almost unbelievable, but the evidence was undeniable. The anomaly, the advanced technology, the Oracle's pronouncements, it all pointed to the same conclusion. "What is the secret?" Ryla asked, her voice trembling slightly. "What is it that the Watchers guarded?" Evelyn's gaze intensified, her eyes burning with an inner light. The secret, Commander, is the existence of a threat that is far greater than the Zargonians or the Eldoria, a threat that could consume the entire galaxy. A threat? Ryla asked, her voice laced with fear. What kind of threat? A primordial darkness, Evelyn replied, her voice barely a whisper. A force of entropy that seeks to unravel the very fabric of reality. The Watchers built the anomaly technology to contain this darkness to prevent it from spreading. But the darkness is growing stronger. It is breaking through the barriers. We are the last line of defense, Commander. We are the only ones who can stop it. Ryla stared at the holographic projection of Evelyn Reed, her mind reeling. The humans, the protectors of the galaxy? It was a notion that defied all logic, all reason. And yet, she could not dismiss it. The fate of the galaxy might very well rest in their hands. What can we do? Ryla asked, her voice filled with desperation. How can the Krill Imperium help? Evelyn smiled, a genuine smile this time, filled with hope and determination. We need your help, Commander. We need the Krill Imperium to stand with us to fight against the darkness. We need you to believe in us, to trust us. Can you do that, Commander? Ryla paused, her heart pounding in her chest. The decision she was about to make would determine the fate of her people, perhaps the fate of the entire galaxy. She looked into the eyes of Ambassador Evelyn Reed, and she saw not arrogance or deceit, but courage and conviction. Yes, Ambassador, Ryla replied, her voice firm and unwavering. The Krill Imperium will stand with you. We will fight against the darkness. We will trust you. Evelyn nodded, her smile widening. Thank you, Commander. Your decision will not be forgotten. Together we will face the darkness and we will prevail. In the hidden command center on Earth, General Thorne watched the exchange between Ryla and Evelyn with a mixture of relief and apprehension. The Krill were a valuable ally, but they were also a potential liability. Their traditions, their hierarchy, their inherent distrust of other species could all prove to be obstacles in the fight against the darkness. Are you certain this is wise, Ambassador? Thorne asked, his voice tinged with doubt. The Krill are not known for their loyalty. They could betray us at any moment. I am aware of the risks, General, Evelyn replied, her gaze never leaving the holographic projection. But we have no choice. We need allies, and the Krill, despite their flaws, are a powerful force in the galaxy. We must trust them, at least for now. And what about the Zargonians and the Eldoria? Thorne asked. They will not take kindly to our alliance with the Krill. They will see us as a threat, a danger to their own ambitions. Let them come, Evelyn said, her voice filled with steel. We are ready for them. We will show them the true meaning of power. As the alliance between the Terran Confederacy and the Krill Imperium began to solidify, a new threat emerged from the depths of the galaxy. A threat that dwarfed the galactic war, a threat that could extinguish all life in the universe. The primordial darkness, the force of entropy that the Watchers had fought to contain, was breaking free. The first sign of the darkness was the disappearance of entire star systems. Stars winked out of existence, leaving behind only empty voids. Planets were consumed by an unseen force, their populations vanishing without a trace. The Zargonians and the Eldoria, consumed by their own conflict, initially dismissed these events as anomalies, natural occurrences. But as the disappearances became more frequent, more widespread, they began to realize the truth. Something terrible was happening. On the Obsidian throne, the Krill Council was in a state of near panic. The Oracle had fallen silent, her mind overwhelmed by the encroaching darkness. Grand Strategos Xyler, his mandibles clicking with agitation, addressed the council. The disappearances are accelerating, he said, his voice strained. Entire sectors are being wiped out. The Zargonians and the Eldoria are both mobilizing their fleets, but it is too late. The darkness is spreading faster than they can react. High Chancellor Lyra, her multifaceted eyes filled with despair, spoke in a hushed tone. What can we do, Strategos? How can we stop this force of destruction? Xyler paused, his gaze fixed on the empty throne. There is only one hope, Chancellor. The humans, they possess the technology to contain the darkness. They are the only ones who can save us. But reaching Earth, penetrating the anomaly that shielded the Sol system, seemed an impossible task. The Krill Imperium, battered and bruised by the encroaching darkness, was on the verge of collapse. On Earth, Evelyn Reed and General Thorne watched the galactic map with grim determination. The darkness was spreading rapidly, consuming everything in its path. The Zargonian Collective and the Eldoria conquered, weakened by the Galactic War, were crumbling before the onslaught. The Terran Confederacy, despite its advanced technology, was vastly outnumbered and outgunned. "We have to act now, Ambassador," Thorne said, his voice filled with urgency. "We can't wait any longer. We have to strike at the heart of the darkness." "I agree, General," Evelyn replied, her voice calm and resolute. "But we cannot do it alone. We need allies. We need the Zargonians and the Eldoria. We need them to put aside their differences and join us in the fight against the darkness." "They will never agree to it," Thorne said, his voice tinged with cynicism. "They are too entrenched in their own conflict. They would rather see the galaxy burn than cooperate with each other." "Then we will force them to cooperate," Evelyn said, her voice filled with steel. "We will show them the true meaning of unity. We will show them that survival is more important than pride." Evelyn Reed, acting on behalf of the Terran Confederacy, sent a message to the leaders of the Zargonian Collective and the Eldoria conquered. She offered them a truce, a ceasefire in the Galactic War, in exchange for their cooperation in the fight against the darkness. She promised them the secrets of the anomaly technology, the knowledge to contain the darkness and protect their own civilizations. The Zargonians and the Eldoria, facing imminent destruction, reluctantly agreed to Evelyn's terms. They put aside their differences and joined forces with the Terran Confederacy and the Krill Imperium. A united front was formed, a coalition of disparate species, all determined to stop the spread of the darkness. The first battle against the darkness was a desperate, bloody affair. The Allied fleets, outnumbered and outgunned, fought with a ferocity born of desperation. The darkness was a relentless, unyielding force, consuming everything in its path. But the Allies, armed with the anomaly technology, managed to hold their ground. They contained the darkness, prevented it from spreading further. The war against the darkness raged for cycles, a long and arduous struggle. The Allies suffered heavy losses, but they never gave up. They learned to adapt, to innovate, to fight the darkness on its own terms. They discovered new ways to utilize the anomaly technology to create barriers and shields that could withstand the darkness's relentless assault. In the end, it was the humans who led the way. Evelyn Reed, acting as the strategic mastermind, guided the Allied fleets through the treacherous depths of space, leading them to the heart of the darkness. There they discovered the source of the primordial force, a massive singularity that was drawing energy from the entire galaxy. The Allies launched a coordinated attack on the singularity, using the anomaly technology to disrupt its energy flow. The battle was fierce, the stakes impossibly high. But the Allies, united in their purpose, fought with unwavering determination. In the end, they prevailed. The singularity was destabilized, its energy flow disrupted. The darkness began to recede, its power waning. The galaxy was saved. As the darkness retreated, a new threat emerged from the depths of the singularity. A signal, ancient and powerful, emanated from the void. It was a message from beyond, a warning from a long-lost civilization. "The darkness is not defeated," the message said. "It is merely contained. It will return, stronger than before. You must prepare yourselves. You must find a way to destroy the singularity to eliminate the source of the darkness, or else the galaxy will be consumed." The Allied species, exhausted but emboldened, realized that their war was far from over. The darkness may have been contained, but it was not defeated. They had to find a way to destroy the singularity to prevent the darkness from ever returning. The Terran Confederacy, under the leadership of Evelyn Reed and General Thorne, took the lead in the search for a solution. They scoured the galaxy, searching for clues, for ancient texts, for any information that could help them destroy the singularity. In the end, they discovered an abandoned megastructure, a relic from a civilization that had vanished eons ago. The megastructure was a weapon, a device capable of destroying singularities, but it was also incredibly dangerous, unstable. Using it could unleash a cataclysmic force that could destroy the entire galaxy. The Allied species faced a difficult choice: use the megastructure and risk destroying the galaxy, or leave the singularity intact and risk being consumed by the darkness. After much debate, they decided to take the risk. Evelyn Reed, acting as the pilot, entered the megastructure. She navigated the treacherous corridors, bypassed the ancient security systems, and activated the weapon. The megastructure began to hum, its energy building to a crescendo. Then, with a blinding flash of light, the weapon fired. A beam of pure energy shot out from the megastructure, striking the singularity at its core. The singularity imploded, collapsing in on itself. The darkness vanished. The galaxy was saved, but at a great cost. The megastructure had unleashed a cataclysmic force, a wave of energy that spread throughout the galaxy. Planets were shattered, stars were extinguished, and entire civilizations were wiped out. The galaxy was forever changed. But from the ashes of destruction, a new era of peace and prosperity emerged. The allied species, united by their shared struggle, worked together to rebuild the galaxy, to create a new civilization based on cooperation and understanding. The Terran Confederacy, having proven its worth, took its place as a leader in the new galaxy. Evelyn Reed, hailed as a hero, continued to serve as an ambassador, working to promote peace and understanding between the different species. General Thorne, having witnessed the horrors of war, dedicated his life to preventing future conflicts. He established a new organization, the Galactic Defense Force, tasked with protecting the galaxy from any future threats. And as for the humans, they had finally found their place in the galaxy. They were no longer underestimated, no longer dismissed as insignificant. They were the saviors of the galaxy, the guardians of peace. But even as the galaxy celebrated its newfound peace, a sense of unease remained. The message from beyond, the warning from the long-lost civilization, still echoed in their minds. The darkness was not defeated. It would return. And when it did, the humans and their allies would be ready. They would stand together, united against the darkness, and they would fight to protect the galaxy, to protect all life in the universe. For they were the guardians of the galaxy, the protectors of the light. The universe held its breath, waiting for the inevitable return of the darkness, knowing that humanity, once underestimated, now stood as its shield, its last hope against the encroaching void. The Earth, having stayed out of the galactic war, was now at its very center, the unlikely bastion against a cosmic horror. The mistake the enemy had made in coming to them first would be their last. The age of humanity's quiet vigilance was over. The age of humanity's active guardianship had begun.